Okay, we would like to start with an acknowledgement of country. We respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners on the land in which we meet today. We would also like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Okay, so why are we here today? Connection. Today is all about connection. Connection's at the heart of hospitality. If you think about the relationship that restaurants have with their guests, the connections that restaurants have with their team members, you think about the connection that is made through the conversations that diners have while sharing a meal. Today, though, connection is being tested more than ever before. Rising costs on the restaurant side, staffing pressures, changing diner behaviour. It's really forcing venues to think differently about how they operate and how to be sustainable and successful long into the future. So the Connected Table, today's event, really invites us all to think and talk about and explore what that looks like now. How do restaurants balance the immediate pressures they have related to all those challenges I just mentioned with the need to invest in guest experience for the long term? How can smarter tools, data, and insights help? And how do we turn diners into regulars? So how do we make every connection count? The topics that we're going to cover today, we've got up on the screen just here. We're going to start with a conversation with Helly Raichura. We're going to get to that in a moment. Then we're going to have a partner spotlight with our partner for today's event, Crunch Hospitality. And that spotlight's going to be run by Andrew Van De Beek. He's the founder of Illuminate. He's going to guide us through using financial tools in a practical way to help your restaurants thrive. And then we're going to finish with a hot take section. Light-hearted, fast-paced, a little bit controversial, hopefully. They don't even know what they're in for. I have warned them. We've got Cameron Earl, Tash Sorensen, and John Rivera for that. We'll introduce them a little bit later on. There will be time for Q&A at the end. You see the QR code on the screen here. You'll just be able to scan that, or just go to slido.com and put the number in that you see just there. And then we'll run through any questions that anyone has for the panelists or even myself at the end. Okay, can I invite Helly, please, to the stage? Comfortable?
Very.
Relaxed?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so Helly Raichura from Enter Via Laundry. Excited to have you here, very honoured to have you here, and really keen to see how we talk about these big things that we're going to be discussing. Let's dive deeper into that theme of Connected Table, but before we do, let's get warmed up. For those of you who may not know you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your venue and your journey to where you've got to right now?
Sure. So it's very nice to be here. Thanks for having me. And my name is Helly Raichura. I run a restaurant called Enter Via Laundry, which specializes in regional Indian cuisine. We started around 8 years ago in a domestic setting, just like a little supper club. And it was out of my spare time while I was working in corporates. So this was very much a passion project. At the beginning, I was cooking all sorts of things, but soon I realized that I had to cook something that really meant a lot to me. And so that's when the exploration of the whole regional Indian cuisine came about. So that's when Enter Via Laundry came about. Fast forward, it became quite popular because, it's Melbourne. And as soon as you say there is a supper club which is hosted at someone's house, only for 8 people, it just really exploded. And we did pop-ups during COVID. And then eventually, around 3 years ago, we got a permanent venue in Carlton. It's been a challenging, but a very satisfying and very, very beautiful journey. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk through that moment again. You went from corporate HR to, I guess, having an idea of how to use your living room in a different way to now a successful restaurant. What were the key turning points and moments that shaped that journey?
So I always had the basis. I always wanted to be a chef, or I always wanted to be in the kitchen. That's something that I was just brought up. The love of food was very much something that I was surrounded by. And so that was already there. But at some point, I thought corporate would be the better way to make a living. And at some point around when I had mat leave, that's when I switched over to supper clubs. A lot of it was also to do with how misrepresented Indian cuisine was. And even I still struggle to find food that is genuine or something that really represents the rich culinary heritage that my world has. And so I thought, an innate need to represent it. And so that's where it stemmed from. And hence I didn't wait for investor or training or a job. I just started from the living room.
Yeah, rather than waiting for the moment to be right, you just went ahead and tried to make it right. So exactly what a passion project is. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about discoverability. I'm going to read this one. So research from Lightspeed's recent hospitality industry report tells us that 53% of Australian diners reported discovering new restaurants online, which underscores the importance, of course, of that first impression from a digital perspective. OpenTable data from 2024 shows that there was a decrease in phone bookings and a more than commensurate increase in online bookings. Intuitive, but the pattern is there and it is ongoing. The Entervire Laundry experience is obviously deeply personal, very story-led. So how do you carry across that intimacy into your digital presence?
I think it's something that we are all really connected. The digital age is here, and it's the AI age is here, really. And so everything that you think about or being creative about has to be translated into tech. And it really helped because the last job that I had was in a tech company. And the agility and that you have to adapt to of the changing technology is something that's going to keep you afloat. And so it'd be Instagram, or it could really be your website, how streamlined that is, or a booking platform, which is where the conversion is going to happen. And I think that's very, very crucial. And people are going to find you on a digital network than definitely phone call. I actually haven't taken a phone call reservation. I can't remember.
Okay, good stuff. What advice would you have for restaurateurs who are looking to invest in the right way in digital, especially when hospitality feels like a very connected in-person moment? Like how to balance that with what you should do, practically speaking, with your digital presence?
I think it's a medium. It should be thought about as a medium rather than as a solution or a tool, rather than either or. All the expression, creativity, and connection happens through this tech. And so it has to be robust, it has to be agile, the software has to be agile with the evolving need of a guest and evolving need of industry, and hence investing in a good tech is very important, and a reliable tech is very important, who's actually going to be there when things actually are falling apart.
Yeah, and what I'm getting from this is it's not just a case of a passion project without any sense. There's a very robust intent related to, well, I know the channels I need to be speaking to my customers on, and I need customers to make it work. So there's a nice balance there between business sensibility and acumen and what you want to achieve from a purpose perspective as well, which is great.
Yeah, I think once you've got your finances, your tech, your logistics, and a few other very basic things sorted out, that's when you can really be creative. But if you're in your back of your mind thinking about how are people going to book, or how am I going to collect deposits, and when is it going to land in my bank account, how am I going to buy that beautiful Malin that's landing from WA? So you have to safeguard all these very essentials of a business first. And at least for me, I think I have to do that first before I can be in the creative zone.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk about experience dining. OpenTable data shows that diners have a growing preference for unique dining experiences over standard bookings. Experience bookings are up nearly 20% over the past 12 months, year on year. Average spend per head is up 5% year on year, nearly $100 a head average spend for experiences in Melbourne. Entervire Laundry certainly fits the unique experiences bill. So how would you say that diners' expectations have shifted in recent years related to the experience that they uniquely have in a restaurant?
So that's great information. That's yay for all the experience-based dinings. I think people want to have from the time that they're clicking on something that they're committing to till the final goodbye. That's how we talk about it. People want to be treated really well, and that's something that I brief to all my team members, be it the chef, the front of house, or the produce, is that treating your guests with respect and care. And the experience, we say experience because we're looking after a lot of different stages in the journey of a diner, not just that quick half an hour turnaround off the table. And that's something that we've always specialized in storytelling, be it, or explaining a dish to actually telling them exactly where this food comes from, or kind of enlightening that learning experience that Entebbe Laundry provides. And I think if I were to spend a certain amount of dollar on a meal, I would really enjoy to find out where the meal has come from, or who has actually made it, and why is it the way it is. And it's a beautiful point of differentiation. And especially in Melbourne, when there is so many different heritages and cultures living in harmony here, and there's more stories to be shared. So I guess, that's one of the things.
Yeah, I mean, the best restaurants, as we all already know, so many represented in the room tonight, turn eating food, which is a basic need to stay alive, into something far less functional and something that's, a life experience. I fully agree with what you're saying there. It sounds like you're doing a great job with that. Let's talk about the impact of regulars and therefore loyalty. The concept of loyalty programs is not new, of course, but how we view them is evolving. It's not just about rewarding diners in the moment, but it's about staying connected to them for the long term. So given that loyal guests are ultimately over their life cycle the most profitable guests that you would have, how do you keep the conversation going with your guests after they've left the restaurant?
It's a personal connection of remembering what wine they like, or their dietary, or actually which particular occasion they celebrated with us is very important. And often I say, I've got so many invitations from my guests to come and dine at their places. That's when you really know that they have felt really welcome. So that genuineness has to be there, I think, for people to recognize the welcome, the warmth of the hospitality. And that's what they would want their loved ones and friends to experience. And so they're going to come back and bring more people along with them, or trust you for a special occasion like an anniversary or a birthday. I have at least 10 to 5 to 10 guests who have eaten every single menu at Entebbe Laundry. And so now they've become more like a family. And so it is very important to have all the steps right for them. Again, from the click to the goodbye, that's what I think about as for it to be flawless.
Is there a role that tech plays for you in helping build those long-term relationships?
Yes, absolutely. So we, of course, keep a record of who has come in when, because there's always, not the same people on the shifts, or their dietaries or their preferences of what they have had last time. And I have a very good or bad, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I often offer wines and other things to the repeat guests, but I don't want to be giving them the same things again and again. So keeping those notes are important, which systems help, or sending out happy birthday to them, which OpenTable has just really helped us with as well, or collecting their feedback as well. All of those things kind of tech way translates really well when you have a bigger team as well. So not just you, but everyone else knows what's happening.
Great, good stuff. Okay, we had a little conversation at the bar just before we started, and I'm hoping we can just do a copy-paste, because I want to talk to you about balancing authenticity and essentially profitability. You build a menu around different regions of India where you often are looking to spotlight different traditions that most diners haven't encountered before. Some restaurateurs internally struggle with the ability to provide that level of authenticity with making enough buck. How do you decide how far to push the boundaries of your creativity while staying commercially viable?
Our efforts have always been deliberate and conscious that Entiva Laundry is not going to be a franchisee or money-making model where we are going to charge a premium price for the profits or bigger margins. It has always been an education piece and building a brand and creating a way for the future chefs who come follow us to be able to open a restaurant that's just Kerala or just Bengali or just Rajasthani. And so 8 years ago, it wasn't something that was common, but we see it now more often. And I'm not saying it's all, it's all conscious efforts by a lot of different chefs coming together, but that can only happen when you are consciously making that commitment and that education piece that I've always talked about. And then the things follow on, how you build your brand and what you value and what your vision and mission is. If you define that very clearly, you're going to attract opportunities which are similar to that. For example, the book that I've just launched, The Food of Bharat, which is very much an education piece again. So, or the events and other things. So for us, the main goal or pillars for us was education piece, building a brand that takes pride in the heritage of India, and making way for different cuisine that were authentic. And so our aim is to balance. Is to commit to our team so that they're paid fair wages and they're not working mad hours, or I have a bit of work-life balance. And that's our kind of little goals that we have.
Yeah, fantastic. It's refreshing to see such a pioneering spirit, but with that robustness of we've got to stay viable. It's amazing. And congratulations on the book. Looking forward to trying to help you sell as many copies of that as we possibly can. Let's finish quickly on where you think the next big opportunity lies for operators, whether that's tech, team culture, or something entirely different. What do you think it is?
I think it is going to lie in the team, or investing time in training your team and having a team that is actually happy at the venue. Of course, and there is also providing them the correct tools. Could it be it would also be like a working cool room to the produce coming in on timely manner, or, an operating system, or, having all those tools ready for your team is going to be crucial, because cost of living is rising and loyalty is what is going to give you consistency in business, and which is what the guests are looking for. And so when you invest rightly in your tools and you look after your team, you're committing to consistency and you're delivering that to your guests.
Yeah, looking after the people helps your people look after your guests, which is ultimately what you're trying to achieve.
It's a bit of a chain.
Yep, cool. Well, please join me in thanking very much Helly. Thank you very much.
Lovely to be here.
Okay, now, if I've got it right, yes, we're going to move to what is new on OpenTable. We're going to be joined by Jackson Pola, who leads the team here in Victoria. Welcome, Jackson.
Thank you, Drew. At OpenTable, we're always trying to be innovative, and in the last 12 months, we've launched more than 60 new features to our restaurant partners globally, and we've put together a quick video to show you what we've shipped. So we'll take a quick look at that. My name is Jackson, and as Drew said, I am the District Manager for OpenTable here in Victoria, and We've kicked things off tonight by talking about the guest journey and customer experience, and I'm excited to talk to you tonight about a couple of things new within OpenTable that are going to help you win new first-time diners, turn those diners into regulars, increase the value of those regulars, and also some tools that hopefully are going to help you maximise efficiency and revenue. So we'll kick things off with first-time diners. And as always, we're always connecting your venues with first-time diners through our global diner marketplace, where 8 bookings are made every second. And yes, it is 8 per second. I had to double check it. Now, globally, that's a super exciting number. Here in Australia, there's plenty to be excited about too, where the number of first-time diners that we've connected with venues in Australia is up 11% on last year. Now, in addition to our marketplace, we also have our existing partnerships with Google and Meta, where we're giving diners more and more ways to both discover and book your venues. And we couldn't speak about partnerships tonight without saying a little bit about our new partnership with Uber that some of you may have heard or seen the most recent announcements about. Now, our Uber partnership is really designed to make it easier for Uber users to discover a restaurant, reserve a table, and book a ride to get there. So we're making dining in and dining out easier than ever. Now, within the OpenTable app, OpenTable users will soon be able to redeem their OpenTable loyalty points on discounts on Uber products. And when they make a reservation within OpenTable, they're even going to be prompted to pre-book and reserve an Uber to get them there on time. We're super excited about this. We don't know whether it's going to help those 7 o'clock reservations turn up before 7:30, but we're pumped nonetheless. Now, we've spoken about winning first-time diners, but how do we go about turning them into regulars? We've shipped a couple of new features within our marketing suite that are going to help you shift those first-time diners and get them coming back more and more and more. The first one of those is our email guest list. Now, email guest list is all about getting super granular with your existing customers and your existing database. So email guest list is going to allow you to segment your customers based on a whole bunch of different data points, things like number of visits, it might be spend per head, or with our point of sale integrations, even things like spend in a particular category. Now, we've been helping you market to your existing database through our automated email marketing for some time now, and we know that restaurants that are using this feature are seeing an extra $700 in revenue every month compared to those that aren't. But the real power of these email guest lists comes when paired with our one-time email send feature that's just shipped in the last month. So think things like launching a new menu and first wanting to let your VIPs know, those customers that have been more than 4 times in the last 6 months. Or maybe you're going to launch a steak night and you want to market that to your red wine enthusiasts to make a real impact to spend per head on a night where you know that food cogs isn't going to be friendly. This is all doable, fully customizable, drag and drop, as you can see, with your brand front and center, and no more working out of 2 platforms. Now that we've got first-time diners and we've turned them into a regular, how do we go about increasing the value of those regulars like Drew and Helly were just talking about? We know that diners who are part of a membership or loyalty program visit 20% more frequently than those who aren't. And that's why last month we shipped OpenTable Loyalty, which we're super excited about. OpenTable Loyalty is completely customizable to you. So you can set the reward milestones, you can set the reward gifts as well. So think things like maybe a complimentary drink on sign up that's going to encourage those walk-in diners to share their email address and phone number with you. Maybe on their 3rd visit, it's 10% or $25 off the bill. And even maybe on their 10th visit, it's something like access to book those VIP tables with a great view. This is all doable with your brand front and center. Finally, talking about maximizing efficiency and revenue. So we've got a couple of new changes here which we're super excited about. The first being turn time insights. Now when I'm out speaking with restaurateurs, owners and managers, I hear really often that it'd just be great if these systems could recommend me the changes to make when I'm actually in the product, instead of having to go and dig through reports, go back into my settings and start looking at that again. And that's what we're doing with our turn time insights and our revenue intelligence. So what revenue intelligence is doing is surfacing the data that you need to make these decisions and guiding you to making the decisions to make things easier in venue. So turn time insights, we're going to prompt you if your turn times are sitting over or under, and that might help you squeeze in 1 extra turn. It might help you reduce a bottleneck. What we're excited about is later in the year, this is going to come to areas of the platform like the number of bookings you may have missed due to a max party size greater than what you're currently taking reservations for. And finally from me, some updates in Voice AI. This has just happened in the last 48 hours. We're super pumped about this, but this could be triggering. But yeah, busy Friday night, dining room is packed, your waitstaff are burning holes in the carpet, running to and from the pass, and the phone just won't stop ringing. I'm sure plenty of you have had that experience, and we know that's the case for 63% of restaurants in Australia. Now with our integrations in the voice AI space, that call is going to be able to be answered by an AI agent. They can handle the conversation, take the reservation, and put the booking directly into OpenTable without your waitstaff ever needing to leave the floor. This is live with 2 partners. This is live with 2 partners in Australia now, and we'll be exploring more later on. And that's the end of the product piece here, and I'll hand back over to Drew.
Thanks very much, Jackson. Some incredibly exciting things there, and he sped through that, but of course, if you want to talk in any more depth about any of those things, approach anyone tonight or just set up a meeting, we'll gladly talk about it. Particularly excited about all the work we're doing in the AI space. Okay, we are now going to move to the Crunch partner segment. So I mentioned about Andrew Van De Beek before. He's going to talk through about how Hospo owners can understand the numbers and take control of their finances to help their business thrive. So I'm not sure where, there he is, right in front of me. Please welcome Andrew.
Thank you very much. It's very rare I get to stand in a room and be possibly the most boring person here. So love to see you. Hopefully I can give you a bit more insight into business numbers and the like. Now, I run an accounting advisory firm based in the Mornington Peninsula called Illuminate. For the last 14 years, almost 15 years, we've spent a whole chunk of our time supporting people just like you. Cafes, restaurants, breweries, wineries, distilleries and the like. Some fun facts. I cannot stand coffee. I don't like the taste of it. I don't like the smell of it, although my first ever job was pouring it. The other fun fact is I have a problem with whiskey, my wife thinks. I think the problem is that I don't have enough whiskey. But at Illuminate, we have this thing called the golden question. And we believe that businesses should be really centered around this, particularly for the business owner. And the question goes a bit like this. If you could do one thing tomorrow morning, regardless of time, money, or location, with no restrictions at all, when you get out of bed, what would you do? And for me, the answer for a long period of time was I'd open a whiskey bar. Loved whiskey. I have a few bottles at home. And over time, my obsession came, how can I build a business that enables me to go and do that thing that I want to do tomorrow instead of restricts me to do the thing that I have to do every day? And now I'm happy to say that I have a whiskey bar, but not quite in the way that I imagined it initially. It's not a public whiskey bar. It's somewhat of an illegal one. We built a co-working space down the Mornington Peninsula, and we built a bar on site in there. And so whilst it doesn't look quite like I thought it would, it still has an element of that appreciation of what it is that I'm looking for. And so what I want to talk to you guys about today a little bit is planning for business and then how those numbers really connect in a way that helps you to understand if you're heading in the right direction or not. At Illuminate, we have like a 3 kind of question process when it comes to planning. Normally, we're talking with our clients like when we're getting to the end of financial year, which is soon, or the end of the calendar year, which is a fair bit more away. And it's when people will become a bit more reflective around the year ahead. And they'll sit there and I say, well, there's 3 questions I want to ask you when you're thinking about the year ahead. The question number 1 is, let's just imagine you're here in 12 months' time. And the person next to you says, so, how was the last year? And you go, well, 2025 was the year that... ... How do you want to finish that sentence? Sitting here today in 12 months' time, how would you want to finish that sentence? How is that year going to be defined by? That was the year that we launched the new project? Was it the year that we finally got in control of the XYZ? What is that thing that this year you want it to be defined by? That's question number 1. Question number 2 then goes, based on what you're willing to give your business, what do you want it to give back to you? Now, this is a hard question because I think sometimes we feel like we're having to be a bit greedy in this state. It's like, oh, what it gives back to me? Oh, that's fine. I'm fine. I'm happy. It's all good. I don't need more. But if we break it down into 3 elements, your business gives you back 3 things. It gives you back time. Now, time for you could be, I want to be fully invested in this thing. Right now, it's a supper club in a bedroom, or not a bedroom, geez, that'd be awkward. A supper club in a house. I want to do this full time. Or it could be, jeepers, I'm working too much. It'd be great to be able to get to sleep before 3 a.m. Or maybe if you've got kids, I've got 3 kids, 11, 8 and 2. I'd like to be able to take my kids to school at least 3 times a week. So that answer of time can be different for everybody. But what is it you want your business to give back you when it comes to time? The second part of what it can give back to you is money. Now, that's somewhat of an easy but also really challenging thing to say. Well, what do you want your business to give back to you when it comes to dollars and cents? And I don't mean the business profit. I mean you as the human sitting here that hits your bank account, that you can pay your mortgage or your rent or go and do your thing. So what do you want to get paid? And this is where it gets hard, because it's like, well, I don't want to ask for any more. Like, I guess, just a little bit more would be great. But in reality, based on the life you want to live, the experiences, what do you have? What do you want it to give back to you? Now, there is a bit of where we are right now. So if we're earning like $1 today and I say I want to have like $1 billion tomorrow, maybe in reality it's impossible to get there. But having an understanding of where I'd like it to be and where I am right now is really important. The third thing your business can give back to you, I like to say, is warm fuzzies. These are the things there's not necessarily time, not necessarily money. This is the stuff that makes us feel so fucking good that we're willing to do it. And sometimes we'll make bad decisions that turn out to be really good decisions because of the warm fuzzy stuff. It could be launching the new idea. It could be winning an award. It could be doing something that just feels so good. It doesn't matter what it costs or how long it takes to do that. So what do you want your business to give back to you based on what you're willing to give it? And the third question is the really hard one. Based on the answer of those first two, what has to change? Because you're probably not going to get there if you don't think about the things that have to actually change in your business. Now, we've heard some really cool stuff. I love some talk about authenticity. I love that. I love some cool things about like the tech platform and the stuff that allows you to do. But what has to change to allow you to actually get these things within our businesses? Now, it could be a fluke. All of a sudden, everybody likes Indian food. Woo! There we go. Done. Great. Didn't have to do anything. That's sweet. But what if nothing changes in that environment? And that means you have to find a way to change. So this is where we then kind of flow into an element of what I like to call, and if I had a drum, I'd do a drum roll, the ultimate profit formula. This is where accounting really gets nerdy and cool and fun, but I'm going to try my best because I don't have a slide deck. I don't have anything to visualize this, and I get it that a bunch of you, when it comes to numbers, might need to see a visual element to help to understand what I'm saying. So if for any reason what I'm saying in the next 5 or so minutes doesn't make sense, grab me on the shoulder later and say, Andrew, I don't know what the fuck you just said, but can you explain it in a way that makes sense for me? Or alternatively, you can jump in the Crunch Hospo app, because I do this whole thing again. You can watch that over and over again. I think the sign over there says it's 3 months for free. I don't know if you want to watch me for 3 months talking about it, but there's an opportunity. So the ultimate profit formula really breaks down the elements within your business that allow you to get to a point where you make profit, but also it helps you to understand the actions you need to take. And when I say it helps, it's really just how any business makes money. So the first thing is, who buys from you? Now, there are 2 different groups of people that buy from you. The people that currently buy from you and the people that don't buy from you. So if we think about the people that buy from us, what is our retention rate? What is our likelihood that they are going to come back and continue to dine in our location, going to buy our food and going to drink our drink? What are we doing in a way to improve upon that? The second thing is the people who don't currently buy from you. How do we find them? How do we get in front of them? What is it that we're doing? How many people do we somehow have the opportunity to potentially turn into a customer of ours? And what likelihood is it that they will actually become one? That's what we call a closure rate. So retention rate, existing, closure rate, new. So what that means is we have an existing client base that's now existing, and we have a new client base that's there. I'm using the word client, that's accounting terminology, sorry, customers. So now I have the total amount of people that might buy from me. But still, to figure out exactly how much money I'm going to be generating here, I need to now know 2 things. How often are they going to be buying from me? And when they do, what's the average spend that they're going to be spending with me? And that's stuff that you guys might already pay attention to. It's stuff that OpenTable might allow you to let you know there. But the knowledge of that is actually incredibly important. Because to get to a point of a revenue, top line, revenue is vanity. You might have heard that phrase. This is a vanity phrase. Doesn't necessarily mean you've got a good business. But revenue is your existing customers plus your new customers combined. Customers. Multiply by the number of times they want to buy from me and how much they spend on average when they rock up. That's my revenue. So hopefully, to some extent, the majority, if not all of you, know that. And there's a difference between knowing that now and knowing that in the future. And once we know that, we roll through nice and quickly with the easy stuff. What are my cogs? Food, people. We run that at a percentage. Once I know my percentages and I apply that on my revenue, I'm left over with what's called gross profit. That's my money that's left over after I've paid the things that directly relate to what I do to cover then things like rent and marketing and my mum who does my books. Those are overheads. Overheads are expenses that always exist. Once we cover the cost of our overheads, we are now left with net profit. Net profit is often sometimes what you get to take home and put in your pocket. But I hope that you actually factor your wage in overheads or direct costs. And if you're ever sitting here thinking, maybe one day I want to sell my business, we can also add another number on there and we can talk about a value. What is my business now worth? So if you utilize that whole formula, you can look at where am I today and where I want to be tomorrow. What things can I take action on and how does that impact my numbers? I can report back to it, I can see the adjustment, and now I know if the actions and the strategy I'm taking are working. So I'm going to leave you with that. Your challenge is over the next 7 or so days, take 30, 40 minutes to think about those 3 questions. What do you want this year to be defined by? What do you want your business to give back to you? And what has to change? And then maybe think a little bit deeper about those numbers and say, do I really understand them? Do I know them enough that actually helps me to say, blur, this is what I should be achieving? And if you don't, that's okay. Most accountants don't even know that about their own business. So take those steps to understand them a little bit more. Have a chat with people around you. Peers are really good with this kind of stuff. And if not, jump in the Crunch app. Not only did we talk about the stuff that I'm talking about, there's a bunch of other stuff around marketing, about business, about other stuff. They're out the back. There's a bunch of cool stuff. Anyway, thank you very much. It's been wonderful talking to you. I look forward to hanging out. Do not offer me a coffee later, but whiskey will be okay. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Andrew. There it is, free trial, 3 months free access. Just give it a go. There's some incredible content on there, and I was actually seeing people coming in earlier and thinking there's actually 2 or 3 people there that in the room that have contributed to the app's content already. I think there's going to be some OpenTable content on there later in the year as well. Someone's left their phone. Is that you, Andrew? There you go. Okay, let's turn up the heat a little bit. We're going to do a section called Hot Takes. So we're going to sort the chairs out to look a little bit more orderly, but please join me in inviting up to the stage Tash Sorensen from Malin, Cameron Earl from Residents at the Porter, and John Rivera from Askal. All right, doing well, everybody?
Yeah, good.
Nervous?
Yeah, a little bit.
Ready for the curveballs?
Sure.
Okay, so welcome to Hot Takes. Yep, we're going to try and get a little bit funky with this. We're going to throw out some controversial questions. There's also going to be some important topics that we touch on as well. Before we jump in, though, let's do short intros. Maybe if you could cover, we'll start from the end, maybe starting with John. Cover who you are, how long you've been in Hospo, and what makes your restaurant special.
Hi, guys, I'm John. I've been in Hospo for too long. I've been in Hospo like 15 years, maybe. I am the chef and owner of Askal up in Exhibition Street. We're a modern Filipino restaurant that's kind of an ode to my heritage. I'm also the founder and co-owner of Caraton Gelato, a couple of stores here in Melbourne, one in Sydney. That's me.
Welcome. Tash.
Hi, my name is Tash. I've been in hospitality for about 15 years. I peeled off for a little bit to study communications and journalism, and with that I interned with the United Nations in Ethiopia. From there, that led me to an opportunity in New York And while I was there, I supported myself by working in hospitality again and decided I just wanted to stay with that. So I came back to Melbourne, have worked in some wonderful venues here, and about 6 months ago opened a small 24-seat, it's like fine dining French place in Carlton North called Malin in Rathdown Village.
Fantastic, both those two restaurants are. Okay, and finally, Cameron.
I've been in hospitality since I was 13, and I just turned 42 2 days ago, so you do the maths on that one, in every facet. So worked as a kitchen hand, barista, bartender, front of house, back of house, you name it. And, well, today we're opening our restaurant. We are a place called Residence. So I think one of the first of its kind, we were doing a chef in residence for a year, giving a young up-and-coming hospitality professional the chance to showcase their wares with the guidance of some amazing professionals that we've managed to get to join our team. So I guess that's the main point of difference for us. Yeah, we open in a week and we're doing events tonight. My business partner is covering my ass tonight. So really happy to be here. I see this is an incredible opportunity to speak to peers. So yeah, really excited to be a part of this.
Well, given what you've got going on, thank you very much for being here. For everybody to know, what's the location of the new venture?
815 Swanston Street. So it's just inside the newly renovated Potter Museum of Art. They've just spent the last 2 years converting that from not just a gallery space, but to a restaurant and event space as well. So we are lucky enough to be in charge of the food and bev across almost 4 different sites within that building, but the kind of the figurehead being Residence Restaurant.
Fantastic. Best of luck.
Thanks.
All right. I will throw out the question. There's no order. I won't point anything to anyone. Feel free to jump in with any thoughts you have. The first one is, finish this sentence. The most overhyped food city in the world is?
Starting off hot.
That's such a rough starting
Paris.
point.
It's hot.
Paris.
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 Oh,
Paris.
and why?
Because I think you can get pastries and all that other jazz just as good here. Like, apart from all the 3 Michelin star places, right, that is, I mean, obviously of Paris, and I'll just show myself out now. No, I went to Paris, I wasn't blown away. Apart from, you know, I ate at Le Doyen, I staged at Le Cinq, whatever, like all the 3 Michelin star places are great, but I find just as good a croissant in South Melbourne Market, I'm sorry.
No, that's a hot take. It's beautiful. Any other thoughts?
Oh, that's really difficult. I feel like I'm such a diehard foodie that I find something to love in every city. So that is almost impossible for me to answer. Like, overhyped.
But you have to.
Yeah, I mean...
That's diplomatic. That's too diplomatic for this
I'm
stuff.
trying not to be. I want to hot take this. I had a really hard time dining in Bangkok.
Okay.
I had a hard time. And I did a lot of research. And maybe I was just staying on the wrong street. I don't know, but that's I'm gonna die on that sword.
So Bangkok, no good. Paris, no good. Tash, what do you want to contribute there?
Oh, I hate this already, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, first thing that comes to mind for me feels a little more closer to home, domestic. Maybe it's a classic Melbourne answer. In general, I think Sydney's a bit overrated. I didn't want to say it.
I love that you didn't even have to finish what you said. Basically, the audience did that for you. Okay, great. Just quickly, because I don't want to spend forever on this question, but one word answer, the most underrated food city in the world. It can't be Melbourne. It's rated.
Kyoto, maybe. A lot of people talk about Tokyo, but some of the best dining experiences I've had in my time has been in Kyoto. That was mind-blowing space.
Okay. Yep.
Manila. Watch out.
Yeah, all right.
That's just not me being Filipino. Like, watch out. There's some great talent coming out of Manila.
All right.
I'm not going to go city. I'm probably going to go more continental. I think a lot of food out of Africa is super underexplored. And obviously that dials into, you know, like countries, cities within that, coastal, inland, etc. But yeah, I think there's a lot more to see from Africa as a continent. Yeah.
Great, cool. All right, next one. Is the no bookings model just lazy hospitality dressed up as cool?
I think the city's evolved away from it. I think it was a part of the city's culture, and I think it was a pre-COVID thing. And I think post-COVID, we've been so concerned about being able to safeguard the money that comes into the space that that style of dining just was perceived as too risky. It may come back, who knows, but it's going to take time. I really enjoyed that style of dining. I enjoyed being able to walk into the city and not know where I was going to eat or where I was going to drink and just follow my nose, and then the night end up being what it ends up being. But I think we work too hard for the money that we have in our pocket to kind of risk that nowadays. So yeah, maybe it's a fear-based decision making that stop people from kind of open venues or operating venues with that kind of risk. But also there are places in this city that are busy enough that they can do that. I think they're less than they used to be.
Okay. Anything else to add?
You know, I agree with Cameron. Like, I loved walking. When I had the chance, I have 2 kids now, I don't get to walk anymore. Walking in the city, just popping my head in, do you have a table? Yeah, I do. Obviously, don't pick the most popular, no reservations restaurant in the city because you'll wait for 30 minutes. But yeah, we've got to safeguard. We've got to safeguard our revenue now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty bold to go like no bookings only. I do think also like location plays a factor in that too. You know, if you're in the CBD or like a high foot traffic area, you can probably get away with having like more walk-in tables allocated if that's, you know, like your style and what you're going for. But I think so many more venues, Cam and I were actually talking about this earlier, even if you're in a inner city radius, you still have to treat yourself like a destination venue as well. So yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Your biggest pet peeve about diners is, and keep it sassy, don't be mean.
How long have I got?
Sassy tends to be short.
Not showing up to your booking.
No shows.
I mean, that's like everybody here will agree. Like, you make a booking on a Saturday night, 4 packs. I can't get you. I can't fill that table. I've lost revenue on that table. I won't fill it. Like, even if the city's full, everyone's going to assume that, there's no space in that restaurant. I'm not going to pop my head in. I've lost you. And you know, like, I worked for a restaurant before, Lume, and we were on a different booking platform that isn't sponsored by this chat. But it was all prepaid, right? And I thought that was a bit silly. But it made sense because if you buy a ticket to the theatre or you buy a ticket to a footy match, if you don't rock up, you miss out on that. So why aren't we treating restaurant experiences with the same amount of respect? Like, we bust our ass off to make sure that your table is ready, the food is ready, that we're hopefully going to give you the best experience that you're going to have that night, and you leave me cold and you don't show up. Yep. It's frustrating. Yeah.
Yep.
I would say, I think anyone that works in front of house will understand this, is, you know, we all have our like hot and cold days, but like you go into a service and you're like, I'm ready to like change someone's night tonight. Like, you know, I'm going to give the best experience, and like I'm ready for service. And as just like a pet peeve, when you get guests that just, they don't want to play, you know, and they almost, I mean, like maybe like they nitpick over things, but it's almost like they don't want to be out. And it's such a small thing, but, you know, in this industry, I feel like there's a massive difference between good service and great service. And at some point, you need the guest to, excuse the pun, but like come to the table, you know? Yeah.
I think those people are called reviewers, Tash, so be careful. I'll keep the ball moving. So, all right, do we, maybe start with you, Cameron. Sure. Do we undervalue front of house compared to chefs and kitchen culture? Like, who really shapes the guest experience?
I mean, there's entire TV series built around chefs now. I don't think the same thing exists front of house. So it's about an exposure thing. So you start seeing chefs in a spotlight, then they're going to get a greater spotlight. But I think the artistry to service and dining is a duality. It's like the whole team works together to be able to, in some amazing moments, have a symphony where you get to watch this all take place. I do feel that the art of hospitality front of house is being lost a little bit. And we're really, in our team at least, we're trying to really focus on trying to bring that back. And like the love of service, the act of service of giving and providing a good time to people should be really rewarding if you're doing the right job and if you're in the right job. And for me, I know it certainly is. Like having that moment where the guest does let you in and you do get to change their night, I feel like that's a drug. That's a drug that's kept me in this industry for this long anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I would also say not only, thanks to, certain TV shows and such like that, but I also feel like just general resources lack much more for front of house than for like the kitchen, like in terms of books and, like what makes a great server. While I think it is part and parcel between the two, Lord forbid something goes wrong out on the floor, it's up to the front of house to turn that around and still ensure that the guest leaves okay, if not great. Yeah.
I think there's a stigma in front of, well, not a stigma, I don't know how to put it, but like people think working front of house is just like a bridge to another career. Like you're a uni student or whatever, you're just doing this for some extra cash to pay rent. But front of house is just as important as the food. Like the food could be great, but your front of house could be dog shit, and you'd have a bad time. Like it's as Cam said, it's a symphony. You have to work together. Your front of house has to be as good. And I think we need to promote the fact that front of house is a career. Like it's a proper career that has value, that has meaning. And that's one thing that we're trying to do, is that we're trying to have an equal playing field at Askal, where the chefs or the front of house, they're not what is better than the other. We're all in this together. We succeed together, we fail together, we learn together. And it's very important to give value to front of house work.
Yeah, agreed. 100%. There's a local restaurant that we love the food, but I call ahead before booking online to check there's two particular servers. It's like, are either of them on shift tonight? Yeah. If they are, I will go. If they're not, I might try something new. It's an art for sure. Okay, so talking about TV shows, would you say that The Bear, I'm sure everybody's watched it or heard of it, would you say that The Bear has romanticised trauma in the kitchen or just finally shown us the truth?
It's a TV show. They have to. It's their job to make it, to glorify it, to romanticise it. But I reckon for a majority of people here, you watch that and you have to pause and walk away and come back and keep watching, because so much of it is far too close to home and too true, I think.
I've tried to watch The Bear maybe 4 or 5 times. But also, I think my thoughts on it is like almost opposite. Is I didn't necessarily understand the hype of it, because I was like, well, this is just like every day. Like, what's all the excitement and trauma? It's like, what, But yeah, it was. I'll try again. I
also think it's a time and place thing. I think that style of cooking and that style of restaurant operation, if we're talking about what I think we're talking about, where he's getting screamed at over his shoulder, is becoming less and less. And I think some of the exposure that our industry is getting, some of it may be negative, but it's also creating positive change. So I don't think that's as real now as maybe it was 10 years ago.
I've literally watched one episode of The Bear because I can't get it in between Peppa Pig and Bluey.
How good's Bluey?
But you know what? I don't like The Bear, and I'm not going to watch it because that was the environment that I grew up in, and I think I wanna change it. I'm not perfect. Like, I've gone through those traumas. I want to change that for my staff, my chefs, everyone. I don't want them to go through that. Like, believe me, I lived through it. It was terrible. What I also hate is my non-chef friends saying, "Have you watched The Bear? Is that true?" I said, like, yes, but that's not what our industry should be defined by. It shouldn't be defined by angry, overworked, stressed chefs, because, like, we all know how great the hospitality industry is, how rewarding it is. Every industry is going to have its ups and downs, and I don't think we don't sensationalize the shit parts of accounting.
right, on TV. So why would we do that? Was that a round of applause or was that just something? I was like, fuck. But yeah. I'm shit with numbers. I need your help later.
One customer, there you go. All right, so here's another hot take. So signature dishes are just becoming a reflection of social media trends and real menu creativity is dying. True?
I think it's the other way around. I think trends are created by signature dishes. So, yeah, and if something's delicious, it's delicious for a reason. And if it's replicated, that's isn't that the greatest compliment? If people are copying your work?
Flattery,
I think, but yeah, similar, yeah. Imitation.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. I think it's the other way around.
I completely agree with that.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Public holiday and weekend surcharges. Fair play or driving guests away?
Fair play.
Fair play.
Fair play.
You have to. I mean, do you even make your money off of public holiday surcharge after what you're paying?
Yeah, it's a fascinating one. Talking of your non-hospo friends, it's a fascinating line of division of understanding of what they're there for and why they're there. I think that they're seen as gouging from customers that just don't understand the industry. There's an education piece there as well.
Well, what's the other option? You're just not open. So you can have a city full of venues that are closed on a public holiday and there's nowhere to go and nowhere to eat, or you supplement that increased costs and there's a thriving city that's open.
Yeah, but I've also found that like we used to close a lot of public holidays and we just kill our cash flow. And I end up not getting paid. So what do? You know, do we open for those guests that want to come for the public holiday, who are probably happy to pay that surcharge, and we keep the cash flow going? Or do you not get paid this fortnight? I don't know. Like, it's your choice. I made my choice. I want to get paid.
It's unanimous here. Fair play. Okay. All right. AI and automation are going to elevate guest experience to a level never seen before. True or false?
True.
Say more.
I mean, I'm only dipping my toe into this world, but I've already seen how much it's just impacted my life and ease of creating a document. And I am going to be blown away at how other smarter people than me are going to use that sort of tech to make our lives faster and simpler.
Yeah, we use it in different ways within our venue, but one of them is almost as like an informal educational tool. So my colleague, Millie, when she's setting up the venue, she'll usually like type in some of the wines like specific to our wine list, and she'll listen to it almost like a podcast. And then that way, you know, like an hour later, you hear her out on the floor almost, you know, regurgitating that same information, which in my opinion, elevates the guest experience. So, and also it makes it, you know, you can ask like a very specific question and it eliminates like a lot of the other noise on the internet. So it's just so much more like efficient, I think, when using it in that sort of informal educational way.
I love that that's use of AI and automation to empower the ultimate human connection, not just in place of. It's great.
I think it's going to be such a powerful tool because in hospitality, I don't think we're going to be able to replace humans altogether, because hospitality is such a personal thing, but it means that we can free up the time for our staff, especially because they cost money. Staff's expensive, like everyone knows that, to do what we pay them to do. Like for example, today I did an admin day. I typed up like 3 recipes, took me like 3 hours because I have ADHD, but I had to get up every 30 minutes. But if I input that into AI, it does it for me. I can go teach my apprentice how to do these things. I can guide them better. I can watch over the development of my chefs. The most exciting thing that one of the most exciting things that you presented was like AI, voice AI. I've got if it means that I don't have to have somebody on picking up the phone, wasting their time, not wasting their time, sorry, but you know, wasting their time taking a phone call in the busy service, or or one of the big complaints is you get an email, hey, I tried to call your restaurant at like 9 a.m. No one picked up. Like, Hospo, we're still sleeping. But like, if I can take that call and take that reservation then, or take that inquiry then, without an actual human doing it, then we're kind of winning. And then when the staff member comes on to deal with it, they don't have to come in, or they don't have to use their brain capacity so early on, you know what I mean, and not get burnt out.
Yeah, that's building out that work-life balance where you don't have to be in the building from 9 a.m. till 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Something's doing it on your behalf.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, and voice AI, I'll just add, is that it's got to a level now where I think a lot of Luddites or naysayers think of a robotic voice that doesn't understand. It is so far removed from the reality now. Couple of stats on that. So with the best voice AI integrations that are out there, which is what we're launching with, the call containment rate is 75%. And what that means is the proportion of calls that you get to your restaurant are able to be serviced by AI 75% of the time. There's going to be so many edge cases that you can imagine AI is going to struggle with. You can also imagine that that's going to go north all the time. The booking ratio, where it was about a booking, is 99%. So people are not hanging up. They're not giving up on it. They are actually converting to bookings. And the call satisfaction rate for AI is higher than for humans. Part of that is the accessibility, because if you ring and it rings through, you get pissed off. So then when you eventually do speak to a human, you already feel disconnected to them. But if you get answered within 2 seconds, brilliant. Anyway, on that note, we have run out of time. So please join me in thanking very much our wonderful Hot Take panelists. Thank you very much, guys. Oh, we have one more thing. Q&A. Q&A. No, stop. I knew there was something else. I'm sorry. Okay. You didn't get away with it yet. All right, here we go. Here's one for the panel. What job would you hand over to AI tomorrow if you could, and what would you never? You're not allowed to say answering the phone.
Anything admin related, rostering, all that stuff.
If you could get AI to do rostering, that would be incredible.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Game changer.
Pretty sure there's some solutions out there. Okay. This is related to something, well, you're all touching on, but you talked particularly about, John. How do we feel about no-show fees? Is there a venue in Melbourne that hard charges no-shows, or do you let it go when the guest contests it and just cop the loss?
I used to work at a venue that we had that built into our OpenTable booking structure that would say if there was a no-show, then we'd charge. And we just never charged them because there would always be a left voice message saying my auntie was sick or the car broke down, and there was always an emotional excuse. So I think we enter into that conversation with this commitment that we're going to take someone's money. And then when it comes down to it, I mean, I don't know, the business I worked at, we all just felt guilty. You feel the sense of guilt that you're like taking someone's hard-earned cash, and we've all been that person before as well. So I'm torn on that one. It's tough.
Yeah, I feel like coming out of COVID, it was obviously a big thing and like very justified. I feel as though now, I mean, at least for us, while we take credit card details in the 6 months that we've been open, I think we've had 2 tables no-show, and one of them basically arrived and there was like an emergency, felt very legit, and had to leave. So in total, I guess 3 almost in a way. And it's, you want people to like reschedule and come back for sure. But then I also think of how much of the value of our time is spent chasing that percentage of tables that don't come through. As much as we would love to charge, ultimately if the payment doesn't go through sort of straight away, then what are we fighting for?
Yeah, agreed. There's some positive tension there, isn't it? That your job is there to not just serve great food, but make that connection with a guest from a long-term point of view. So understand the hesitancy. Yeah. At the same time, the points you were making earlier, like it's a pet peeve plus.
I want to be the prick and say, I will charge you if you don't show up. This is because of the plain reason that as soon as you charge them, they're going to email you within like an hour, like, why did you charge me? When you could have spent that time to just say to the restaurant, hey, I'm not going to make it today. All right, cool. We'll deal with it later, right? It's just that as you were saying, Tash, it's like hospitality is a give and take, right? Just because you're the guest doesn't mean like, you're taking everything. It's a give and take thing because we've expected you. We've prepared for you. It's at least that decency to say, hey, I'm not going to make it to my 7 o'clock booking today. And if you call up at even 6 o'clock on a Saturday, we'll say, yeah, no worries, sure. We'll call you at a more convenient time so we can discuss when you reschedule. Of course, I want them to come back. And what we typically do is we'll charge you a cancellation fee and you can redeem that as credit in your rescheduled booking. I kind of speak about this because we've been burnt many times at the restaurant where we've waived the cancellation fee altogether on a last-minute cancellation or no-show. Well, it's more of a cancellation. And then they're rescheduled for a week later, but within the terms and conditions, because now they've moved the booking, they cancel the booking and we lose altogether over 2 days. That's just my trauma, I guess. But look, it is definitely a case-by-case basis. I think you should still be a human in certain cases. You know, if somebody's called up and be like, I've had to rush my husband's hospital, I'm not going to make the booking. I'm not going to charge you a cancellation fee because that's just terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Hospo is fairly unique in the world of, like, let's just call it entertainment. When you think about someone going out for a meal, they might go to the movies, they might go bowling or whatever it is. You pay up front for nearly all of those things. So there's a bit of normalized transaction that happens in the restaurant. So I guess the reason that you wouldn't go to a place of saying, well, you pay up front and that is the amount, and then if you don't turn up, okay, fine. The reason you don't do that is because demand is a little more constrained than you would want it to be, I presume.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you felt it's hard to explain to new gen Hospo workers the art of service post-COVID? It's a basic job for them where they do not seem to provide an experience sometimes. What have you done to inspire them?
I mean, I think the easiest way to do it is show the love for it in yourself, the way you go about your day, the way you do your job, the diligence, the care, the love for the industry is the first thing that rubs off onto people, and it's circumstantial. If they haven't been around a positive employer, if they haven't been in a space with that love for the industry and love for the service is part of the everyday, then you can understand why they treat it just like a job and something that is just financial return. It's not a love or passion for the industry because they haven't seen it, they haven't felt it. So you can't expect people to just have this from nowhere. It comes from a shared love from somebody else, like anything. Like if you play a sport or you listen to music, you see someone else do it first, you see how well they do it, you see how much they love it, and then you want to replicate it and emulate it because you respect what they do. So it starts with us.
Yeah, I also think within that as well, you can start like drip feeding like a sense of purpose pretty early on, giving them, small responsibilities that, pull them in and make them feel like they're really, really helping towards this overall goal too. And I think that creates like a really nice platform for growth, because as you look after them and guide them through that, you can also, you just keep elevating those responsibilities and learning opportunities from within.
Final comment from you, John?
I think we spend a lot of time complaining about the next generation, like that their work ethic isn't the same as ours or whatever. I think we need to understand that they aren't our generation. They're a different generation. They've got different motivators. What I've found works really well is actually finding out what their motivators are, coming to understand them and what they enjoy, why they've taken this job, and nurturing them through that. As we're talking about the bear, about how we don't want the same industry of just like, you do this, why? Because I said so. We need to take that mindset and nurture our next generation of hospitality professionals and motivate them in a way that motivates them.
Have the relationship with all staff, but in this case, front of house, that you ultimately want them to have to connect with the guests, the diners. Yeah. Okay, it is now time. Thank you very much. Please join me in thanking the panel. Please join us at the back. We'll have drinks and I think a bit more food. Thank you very much, everybody.